Happy Orctober, everybody. I figured let's do a painting on an Orc Marauder. I'm gonna be honest, this dude has been primed for like 2 years. I went with some kind of khaki base uniform. I don't remember what color the prime base coat is, but we're gonna start off with slapping down a brown wash on him just to bring out some of those details, darken things down a little, and get us started. Now we're going to start in on that skin tone with a base coat of black green. This is Pro Acryl, which is my main acrylic paint. I use a mixture of Pro Acryls and Army Painter speed paints throughout the course of this paint job. But whatever dark green that you're going to use, it's going to work just fine. Don't worry about the specific brand, more just about the color. The techniques aren't really going to matter. I mean, the techniques matter, but the color that you use, the specific color, I mean, that's not dark green, lighter green, light green, and we're just going to do a build-up. Now we're going to use a mix of yellow green and dark green to create our first level highlight. We're going to focus this in on the muscle groups and raised areas of the model just to bring a little life and light to the base. Now I'm going to switch over to the straight yellow green, and I'm going to use this just to pick out the highlights on those muscle groups and skin areas that we just previously highlighted. And I really got into it and apparently just started thrusting my head straight into the camera, so you get to observe the beautiful bald spot that is my entire head. So I apologize, and I will cut around my melon as best I can. Now on to all of our metallic bits. We're going to base these out with Army Painter Speed Paint Grim Black just to get us a nice base to start working those metallics up. My big old melon just gets in the way of a lot of footage here. I used pale yellow to dot in the eyes, the eye sockets, and then bold pyrrole red to give them some bright red pupils. You couldn't see any of that because my just ginormous head filled the screen, so I apologize for that. My ginormous head is still in the way here, but now I'm using dark neutral gray to apply the initial layers, the edge highlights to the weapon, and then about 50 to 75% of the metallic bits from the top down. So I'm going to paint from like 25% up from the bottom and then up the rest of the way to the top to start establishing what I hope will look like a non-metallic. You're going to laugh self-deprecation on this video. Jesus, I don't know how I managed to paint so much 10mm stuff and keep my noggin out of the screen, but I go back to paint a standard 28mm orc and all you can see is scalp. I'm using a mix of 50-50 dark and like mid-tone neutral gray just to work up my second tone on this. About 50% up in a lot of the cases, and working over edges thickly. Okay, we're going to cap that off with some light neutral gray. Just really working the edges, just the brightest points of where light's going to hit anything, just to kind of give it a little bit of a glint or a sheen, just in a nice crisp edge highlight on it. All right, from this point on, my giant head may be out of frame. Fingers crossed. We're going to douse all of those metallic bits, the rifle, the knee pads, the boots, even knife, with a nice coat of Payne's Gray wash. You could also use a white wash, but I think in this case, because you want these metallic pieces, you want to go some kind of blue wash if you have it in your arsenal. Now I'm going to switch over to some camo green. This is more of a bluish green than the stuff we used for the flesh tone, so it'll give it a chance to stand out and look different against the body, but it'll also have that, nice military greenish look. just going to coat all the grenades with this just to add a little color to what is a relatively bland uniform on the model. Now we'll go and hit all those straps, pouches, and bags that he's carrying. We're just going to use some speed paint leather brown. Using a little bit of that pale yellow and camo green that's left on our palette, we're just going to do a 50-50 mix and just do a quick little highlight on the sides of those grenades that we painted camo green earlier. Now we're going to come in with some khaki, and we're going to use this just to pick out the edges of the uniform, cover up any little mistakes we made, and add some scratchy weathering look to the uniform he's wearing. That khaki proved a smidge too bright for the uniform that he's got on, so we're just going to tone it down a little bit with another covering of brown wash. While we're toning things down, we'll go ahead and take a little dark gray speed paint, and we're just going to apply that over the grenades that we painted the camo green earlier. That'll just calm down the highlight and shift that green a little more out of the depth of the same color as his skin tone. Now I'm going to use a combination of dark golden brown and golden brown to do the shell casings that are all over him. He's got some bullets on his legs. He's chewing on one. There's a couple on the ground in the base. Basically, all I do is I do a base layer of dark golden brown and then just kind of like an edge highlight with the golden brown. And this kind of makes a non-metallic looking shell casing. You can take it a step farther and do like a white yellow or something like that, or a pale yellow at the very edge just for like a super shiny spot. But I don't imagine this guy being super shiny. I imagine him a little more gruff and tumble, and his gear is effective, not pristine. We're going to do the exact same thing to the like welded strip running up his blade and the butt pommel of his big old knife as well. Real quick here, we'll slip in and just put a little bit of the pale yellow off of our palette into the eye sockets of those goggles, just so we've got a light base tone to start on before we add some color to it. Now we're going to hit the inside of those goggles with some orange. And then once that's in there, we'll mix just a little bit of that pale yellow that we put down as the base for it into our orange to get us a brighter little highlight orange, and we'll just put that in one of the crevice corners so that we can make it look shiny. Now we're going to move into just doing a little bit of cleanup and weathering on the model. I'm going to take that dark golden brown that was on my palette from the shell casings earlier, and I'm just going to do a little scratching in on the pouches that we hit with the speed paint earlier. A, just to give them a little variation in color. B, just to kind of scuff them up a little bit and flatten everything out, matte everything out a little bit. This is a completely optional step. This is just if you want to try to make them look a little more rough and tumble. At this point, I decided to come back with the dark neutral gray that's already on the palette and just hit some of the belt buckles, the tops of the grenades, the pins, that kind of stuff, just to give them a little more color. The speed paint that went on as like a wash earlier really didn't pop like I wanted it to, so I just decided to hit them with an actual gray just so that they had a little more impact on the model. All right, let's get that base wrapped up, and this model is almost done. So everything is already out on our palette. I'm going to use the neutral gray that's on our palette from earlier to do the concrete, the dark golden brown to do the dirt and to base any metallics, a little bit of the orange to do some rust, hit it all with a brown wash, and this guy will be just about done. Finally, it's time to rim that base. As always, apple barrel, matte black for me. And that's going to bring us to the end of this Let's Paint. Happy Orctober! If you're watching this and it's not Orctober, then I hope you had a happy Orctober. Regardless, if you've stayed this long, I want to thank you for making it all the way through this video. This one got a little long compared to the epic ones I've been doing recently. I wanted a little change of pace and just wanted to celebrate the, Orctober quote-unquote holiday. But all that said, I really do appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. I'd appreciate it even more if you could smash that like button so the algorithm can spread this around a bit more. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, I intend to continue doing Warpath related content as frequently as time allows. Regardless, thanks for your time and thanks for watching.